Morning everyone, how you going? Just wait for this thing to go live and see how we're going. Oh, come on, Facebook. Takes its time doing its notification. I think we just got it. So anyway, I want to talk about reasons or how people were forced onto the cashless debit card. Because some people are confused out there in the world as to there must be a reason why they forced you onto the card. I'll put it really simply. First things first, it's the postcode you were living in when the card rolled out. So if you're living in Hervey Bay and the card came and you fitted the trigger payment categories, you got the card. Okay? So for Hinkler, if you were receiving job seeker, a youth allowance, parenting payment, single or partnered, and your postcode is 4655 or 4670 for Bundaberg, then you get the card. Okay? That's the only reason. That's it. Bottom line. It's not because of any other things. Alright? It's your postcode and the trigger payment. So if you're living in the Goldfields and you're receiving all trigger payments, including disability support, pension, carers, up to age 67, right, then you will go on a cashless debit card because of the postcode and the town that you're in that's part of that trial, and because of the payment that you're receiving. The same with Kununurra, Wyndham, Ceduna, Ullatta Community, the APY lands. Okay? If you're living in Cape York, there is no age cap. So age pension can now be forced onto the card, but that's a different program where people are referred to be forced onto the card. And in the Northern Territory, if you're on a basics card already, they will try and coerce you to volunteer for the cashless debit card. But the two programs are totally different. And my advice to anybody is stay on your basics card because you've still got your human rights and legal rights protected, and it's run by the government and their public servants, not Indu and their private mates. So I just want to make it really, really clear to people out there who may be confused as to why people are on the cashless debit card. It's not because of them being a drug addict, which is the first assumption. All right, it's not because they are an alcoholic. It's not because they've been a bad parent. It's not because they're a criminal. Right? These are all smoke screens that have been put out there by the media and the government, right, to make it so people assume that you've done something wrong to be put onto the card. Now, there is a small element where it is court ordered for child safety reasons, and for vulnerable people. But that's a different situation. The majority of the people that are forced onto the cashless debit card, like when it blanket rolls out, they're not assessed, but before being forced onto the card, they don't have capacity assessments done. They're not proven to be an addict of any substance, even though alcohol is legal. They're not identified as alcoholic or drug addict. None of that. It is purely postcode and payment type is the reason. I just want to make that clear because I've had somebody in inbox whose landlord is very confused and can't understand why the person has been put on it, and that the person must be a drug addict in order for this to have happened to them. And that's not fair because the person has not been assessed as a drug addict, is not a drug addict, right? Was unfortunate to be living in a card postcode when it rolled out, and unfortunate enough to be receiving one of the trigger payments at the time. That's purely it. The type of payment you're receiving, parenting payment, job seeker, youth allowance, all right? And yeah, we've got to get rid of the stigma, okay? We have to get rid of the stigma. The stigma around this card that automatically brands people that are on it, right, being a drug addict or an alcoholic or a bad parent or whatever has to stop, because it's just simply not true. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that and get this message out there loud and clear. The prerequisites for being forced onto the card is your postcode and the payment that you're receiving, which could be anything from youth allowance all the way up to disability support pension, carers payments, parenting payments, right? And then all the ancillary payments on top of that are also restricted, like your carers allowance and all your other payments that are paid on top. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Can we get that message out really clear? We have to stop this idea that people, well, there must be a reason why they put you on it. You know, that's not fair. There is no reason. There is no rhyme. It's a blanket rollout when it hits town to whichever payments you're on and your postcode. That's it. Okay, guys. See ya.